The TI-84 knows how to make a grouped frequency histogram. And the processes that we use to create this grouped frequency histogram are similar to processes that we're going to use to make other kinds of graphs later on. So it's worth working through an example. Now, in practice, whether you would rather learn this extra calculator process or create your histograms by hand is up to you. For this example, we're going to show how to use the calculator to create the histogram and count the grouped frequencies that we saw in example 1. Now, the calculator by default will pick the number of classes and pick the class width and pick the class boundaries. And chances are good it's not going to pick the exact ones you want. So part of this process is to tell the calculator what class width and boundaries you want. In example 1, we calculated a class width of 367, and our first lower class boundary was at 349.5. We're going to need to tell the calculator that we want it to draw us a histogram with that class width and that lower class boundary. The rest of the notes here have a set of screenshots and step-by-step instructions for what I'm about to do, but I'm going to just put the calculator on screen, taking up kind of the whole screen, and walk through the process. You have the screenshots to refer back to later, but here just watch me walk through the process. So we have the calculator itself on the left side of the screen so you can see what buttons I'm pressing. And then on the right side of the screen, we have a zoom in on the calculator's screen so you can see what it's doing. The first thing I'm going to do is to enter my actual data in the calculator. So to do that, I need to press the Stat button and choose this first option, Edit. In this screen, I have a series of lists, L1, L2, L3, L4, and L5. I'm going to enter all of my data in L1, that's list 1. So to enter my data, I'm going to type the first number, 1500, and hit enter. The next number, I'm reading down the columns here. Another 1500, press enter. 1250, press enter. 900, press enter. So now I've entered the first column in my data table. This is just one data table. It's in 6 columns so that it fits on the piece of paper. So I'm going to enter everything in L1. So I've got 1350, I've got 1150, 600, 800. And now I'm just going to continue entering the data from my list, going down my columns. You may have noticed that while I was doing that, I made a mistake. I accidentally typed 1400 here instead of 1200. And to fix that, I used the up arrow key to go to the row where I'd made the mistake and then I typed the number I actually wanted. So if you want to fix one of your numbers because you typed it wrong, you can use the up and down arrow keys to select the number you typed wrong, and then you can fix it. Okay, so next, we need to actually make our graph. In order to do that, I'm going to press second, that's the blue key in the top left corner, followed by y equals, which is in this top row. This takes us into what are called our stat plots. We're going to make a fair amount of use of these stat plots going forward. I'm going to select the first plot, and the first thing I'm going to do, notice that my cursor is flashing over on. I'm going to hit enter to turn that first plot on. Next, I'm going to press the down arrow to get into the type menu. And this menu is showing us the different types of graphs that our calculator can make. Notice that this third option looks like a histogram. I'm going to press the right arrow key until my cursor is flashing over that third option, and then I'm going to hit enter to select it. You may have noticed that the prompts down here changed when I hit enter. That's because different kinds of graphs need different kinds of input. For a histogram, you need one list, which we're calling our X list. We put our data in L1, which is the default, so we don't need to change that. And this FREQ, we'll talk later about what that might mean. For right now, we're just going to leave 1 there. Okay, so we've told the calculator that we want a histogram. This next step is where we're going to tell it what class width and lower class boundary we want. To do that, we're going to hit the window key. Now, the X values are what's going to be on our horizontal axis. We want our X min to be our lower class boundary. So we're going to take 349.5. That's our lower class boundary. X max, we need to set so that we'll be able to see all of our data. If you calculated all of your class boundaries, you can put your upper class boundary here. Otherwise, you can just put your maximum value, which was 2550 for this data set. And then X scale is where we're going to tell us our class width. In this case, our class width was 367. We're going to put 367 there. Okay, so that's our X values. Our Y values, we want to put the labels that we're going to have on our vertical axis. And this is going to be a frequency histogram. So we're going to be interested in whole numbers. We can't have a frequency less than 0, so we're going to set our X min to 0. Our X max is kind of a guess. We want to guess our X max so that all of our bars will appear on screen. If we guess wrong here, all we have to do is come back to this screen and change it. But as a first guess, I'm going to say, well, maybe half my data set is going to be in my tallest bar. I've got 24 values. I'm going to guess 12 for X max. Okay, so now I've set up how I want my histogram to be chosen. The important things are this X min and this X scale. Everything else we can adjust if it doesn't look right, but it's important that we have these two. And now I hit graph. And behold, my histogram. So notice that this looks just like the one that we made on paper in example 1. What if we want to know what the actual class, what all of the class boundaries were and what the actual frequencies were? Say, because we're needing to report the class boundaries and the frequencies in a homework problem. Well, if we hit this trace key just to the left of graph, do you notice that it's put a cursor in the first bar and it says minimum 349.5. That's our lower class boundary. Maximum, 716.5. That's our upper class boundary. And then n equals 5 is the frequency of that class. To get to the next class, hit the right arrow. From 716 to 1083.5, the frequency is 7. From 1083.5 to 1450.5, the frequency is 8. From 1450.5 to 1817.5, the frequency is 3. From 1817.5 to 2184.5, the frequency is 0. From 2184.5 to 2551.5, the frequency is 1. So you can read the information that you need in order to fill out your frequency table from this histogram that your calculator gives you, as long as you remember to tell the calculator what you want for your lower class boundary and what you want for your class width.